Hello and welcome to another episode of Market House, the podcast where we talk all things Disney. My name's Caleb.
And I'm Caitlin.
And this week we talk about a new show coming to DCA.
Updates to Tiana's Bayou adventure.
And how to plan a trip to Walt Disney World. Let's dive in. All right, and this is episode number 69. And can't wait to start doing it.
We're back.
We're back. So,
Even though we're back every week.
like it was a surprise. We actually came back and did this.
Yeah.
No, it's been a fun week. I need to bring something to everyone's attention because I couldn't believe it when I heard it. Last night, I turned to Caitlin after we were all done with everything and I said, "Hey, do you want to watch a movie?" She said, "Yeah, I'll watch a movie." So, of course, we start scrolling Netflix, HBO,
Disney.
Amazon, Hulu, Disney, what have you, and I just couldn't settle on something. I think everyone suffers from that problem. There's just too many things to watch. So we couldn't decide, and I passed by the Rocky movies, and I know she's seen a lot of them.
Yeah.
But I passed by Rocky 4, my childhood favorite, just because I don't know why, and she said, "I don't think I've seen that."
No.
And it blew my mind.
I guess it just wasn't that big of a deal.
How
when
did
I
you
was
go
growing up.
all these
I
years?
mean, I love Rocky, but
Dude,
I loved it. We went up watching it, and it was a great one.
It is so good.
Yeah.
And I think it was the revelation. Caitlin was like, "Oh, so Creed."
Well, yeah, because we've seen Creed with Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, and she was.
And
I
I
don't think
didn't-
she made the connection of why he was so upset
with Rocky.
with Rocky.
No, I'm just like, oh, maybe he passed 'cause of
Apollo
old
Creed.
age. Yeah. It was great. I loved it. They're feel-good movies at the end. I mean,
They
again,
are
some sad.
so cheesy, but they're so good.
love that
like
stuff.
good 80s cheesy
Yeah.
movie.
It was
so,
awesome.
I love watching those. It reminds me of my childhood. I grew up on Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's before my time, they're still great movies and in their own way.
It was a good
I
experience.
don't think they're going to win any Oscars, but
Yeah.
they're fun to watch.
I loved it.
But other than that, we've been talking Disney and planning the next trip,
Yeah,
trying to figure it
missing
out.
Disney so much.
We miss it a lot, like more than usual.
Yeah, and it's so weird because, again, everyone's like, you guys were just there. And normally I'm like, we're ready to come back, but we weren't ready to leave this past trip.
I know.
So I cannot wait. We're going so soon, counting down the days already.
Yeah,
So
a few weeks away.
I can't wait.
Yes. All right. Before we dive in, please consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and a rating on Spotify. Giant help to the show. And again, when people search for Disney podcasts on Apple Podcast, we show up a little sooner in the results, a little higher up in the results if you leave some reviews. So we appreciate you guys that you've the ones that have left one already. And if you're going to do that in the future.
Yeah, and speaking of, we have a new review.
We do.
Which I'm so excited about. The title of this review is What a Fun and Engaging Disney Podcast, 5 stars. And this is left by C. Miller 24, which is the Miller family.
Yes.
Adventures Millerland, which we love. They have Disney content. They have a YouTube channel. They're constantly going on Disney cruises and just doing fun stuff with their family. So definitely check them out.
Definitely check them out.
The review is really, really enjoying this podcast. Caleb and Caitlin do such a great job of offering their unique and honest perspectives of what's happening with all things Disney. Love the topics, the different segments, and the ways you both make it fun. Listening to this is like sitting down and talking about Disney with friends.
So nice.
That's so kind of you.
That's
Thank
totally
you so
like,
much.
It's really cool to read because that's kind of like what we came in wanting for it to sound like, which is just hey, we're sitting down, hence the name, Market House, drinking a cup of coffee, and just talking Disney. So, Chris, thank you.
Yes.
Super appreciative of your review.
Awesome. I can't stop smiling.
I know.
It truly, again, we've said this before, the reviews make us so happy. So again, thank you for taking the time to do that, all of you, and we appreciate you. Seriously,
yes. And one last thing before we dive into the news, we have actually a new way of supporting, and I can say new because it is. We made a slight tweak with one of our partners, but Getaway Today, we have a exclusive link for you guys, an affiliate link, Market House 10, that's going to save you $10 on a Southern California vacation package, and we'll have the link in the episode description or details, what have you, and you can click on that. It'll not only save you some money, but it also supports the show. Let's dive into that news.
All right, first up, we have some new details regarding Tiana's Bayou adventure.
We do. So Disney kind of quietly released some new story details around the new ride. And again, like we mentioned, Tiana's Bayou Adventure is coming to both Disney World and Disneyland in 2024. And they've already started construction over on the East Coast. We still have Splash Mountain over here, but that's supposed to close up in the coming months. So they're replacing it with this new ride, and they released some story beats that we can kind of expect for this. So it actually takes place after the movie, so it's not going to be a replication of the movie experience.
Right.
So at this point, again, I'm going to summarize it because it actually is kind of it's like a mini story. But at this point in Tiana's life, she has been very successful with Tiana's Palace, and so she started a food co-op or something like this, a salt mine. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. And
so there's a new salt mound, which I'm assuming that's why the mountain has its shape. And she's asking for some help. They get they grow chili peppers and stuff for a hot sauce that she makes now.
Okay.
She basically sells a bunch of random grocery items, and she employs a lot of friends and family through this service or this new business, okay? And then I think your experience is she's throwing a big bash and she forgets some ingredients or needs some of her help wrangling them up in the salt mine or something. So that's where you come in. This is where you're going to help her find some ingredients, I believe.
We're there to save the day.
Yes.
We're going to help Tiana.
It's really interesting. Of course, Disney fans, we like to complain. So, of course, there's mixed feedback on this from what I've seen on Reddit and Twitter and Instagram. Half the people are like, I'm really bummed out they're not doing the movie. Like, that's perfect. It's made for it, right? You go, in the movie, they go down the bayou on that raft, and you can come across the Shadow Man and be running from him.
Yeah.
So I know people are bummed about that. And then also some people are super excited because it's new. So I don't know. I guess I don't care enough. I just want to ride the ride and see what it all looks like.
I'm super excited for it. I do have to say it would have been nice to have the movie scene, like the whole thing, like you mentioned, going through the adventure. But I am intrigued by seeing what Tiana did after the movie. Like that part of it is kind of interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because when we first watched it, I'm like, okay, she opened her restaurant. Then what happened? Like, I wish I knew. Because again, someone like me, I love the movie. So I do hope the ending scene where in Splash Mountain, it was like the boat when they were singing the song.
Yeah.
I really hope that they're singing Dig a Little Deeper with Mama Odie.
I don't know. I don't know if they're going to have like original music.
I hope they do, because can you picture that? That would be so awesome.
That'd be awesome.
Again, I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see hear more details and see what they're going to do.
All right, next up, we've got some news coming out of Disney, and it looks like it's a leak because someone inside the company is talking to media, which is interesting.
Uh-oh.
But they're giving us some juicy deets, so let me tell you what it is. So it looks like Disney is considering licensing TV and films to their competitors.
This is crazy to me.
This is weird. So up until this point, I think everyone knows this, Disney's been trying to get in the streaming game, right? So they come out with Disney Plus. They pour all this money into it, billions and billions of dollars. They're developing originals for it. They're, taking their shows and movies off of other people's platforms and sticking it right onto Disney Plus and saying, you got to pay us $10 a month or whatever it is now, and you get access to all of our stuff.
Right.
Now it sounds like they're kind of reversing that decision, and they're going to be licensing it out to, let's say, Netflix or HBO, what have you, because a lot of money is in that whole business. So it's more expensive to keep it on your platform and depend on growth versus just selling it to other streamers.
Yeah.
So it sounds like Iger may be kind of coming in and saying, hey, we got to make some money and make this Disney Plus thing work, because right now it's losing a lot of money, and there's some investors on the outside, specifically Nelson Peltz as an old guy that's coming in and kind of ruffling some feathers in the business. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. I just think it'd be really weird to see, Princess and the Frog on Netflix again.
Yeah, and this would be a great opportunity, though, for Disney to do that, because it's a great bargaining tool right now. Because remember when Disney took everything away, I'm sure those companies didn't like that, because that was a major draw for families.
Sure.
And now if they're like, hey, Netflix, do you want these movies back?
Yeah.
Do you think
You're
they'll
gonna have
pay
to pay
more?
up.
Yeah,
You
I was
have
going
to
to
pay
say.
up.
So that could be the reason behind it. But
Sure.
Either way, I don't really mind.
I know. I don't care.
So,
Well, yeah, I think at this point, everyone's subscribed to pretty much every single
Yeah.
one. Like, we have almost every one, because now all the cell phone plans, it doesn't matter who you're with, they give you one of them for free.
Right.
So we're with Verizon, so we get the Disney package for free.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are with AT&T, they get, I think, HBO for free. They did. And then T-Mobile gives you Netflix. So it's
Wow.
like, it doesn't,
Yeah.
you should get 3 plans with every single provider, and you get all
Oh,
of them free.
no.
Yeah. So anyways, interesting. You might see, who knows? You might see one of the Toy Story movies on HBO.
All right, next up, we have some super exciting news. We have a new show coming to DCA.
Yeah, so it looks like Disney released a casting call for an upcoming Broadway-style show for that empty Hyperion Theater.
Right, which is where Frozen used to be pre-pandemic.
Yes, and then before that, Aladdin,
I
which
love
was
that
Caitlin's
one,
favorite.
yes.
So, anywhoski, sounds like Disney has released a casting call, and people are guessing from the episode, not the episode descriptions, the role description. So one of them's like a Greek, what was it? Greek choir or something like that?
Okay.
I don't know. One of them's like a British, whatever. Anyways, all those descriptions, people think it's Hercules.
Ooh.
It's an interesting pick. But I also heard people like guessing way other things too. So I don't know. I think it could be a few different movies.
Yeah, I think, honestly, if you're going to ask me, I thought it would be Encanto.
Right? With all the hype?
I'm very surprised.
Does it make sense? I guess nothing really makes sense in that part of the park anymore, though.
No.
It's weird.
Unless they redo it.
I don't know.
Which,
we'll
knows?
see. So Christopher Leonard's, an Emmy-nominated and Grammy-winning composer, will work on the music for the new show. He had previously worked on the music for the new Disneyland nighttime show, Wondrous Journey. So this guy has a good track. I mean, the people love that new fireworks show. So I think I've got a lot of hope for this new show coming to DCA.
Yeah, I'm excited for them just to be bringing something back to that area.
I would have been happy if they brought, I'm not a huge fan of the show, but if they brought Frozen back, I would have been excited.
Same here.
I think I'm missing a good sit-down show in DCA. All right. You know what that music means. It's finally back. Disney Trivia.
We're back.
Oh, excuse me. You can take it and quiz yourself then.
No.
I'm going to be pretty rusty, not going to lie.
Same here.
We'll see how this goes. Caitlin, are you ready for your questions?
I'm ready.
All right. Caitlin, your first question is, from its opening in April 1992 until May of 1994, the Disney theme park, now called Disneyland Paris, was known by what continental name?
Okay.
This is easy. You know this. I've mentioned it a few times.
Okay. I have no idea.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
You really don't?
Can you restate the question, please?
From its opening in April of 1992 until May 1994, the Disney theme park, now called Disneyland Paris, was known by what name?
I don't know.
Euro Disney.
Oh.
You know this.
I don't know
We've
if I
talked
did.
about it before.
I've always known it as Disneyland Paris.
Yes, given that you were born after 1994.
That's true.
But in Disney history talks, we've talked about this. Okay, that's all right. Number 2, we've got The Little Mermaid was nominated for 2 Best Original Song Oscars. One for Kiss the Girl, and the other for what upbeat tune that won the award?
Under the Sea?
Yes.
Knew it.
Good job.
Classic.
Okay, one for 2.
Okay.
Let's see if I can beat you.
Are you ready for your first question?
I think so. Let's go.
How many brothers does Prince Hans of the Southern Isles have in Frozen?
12.
That's correct. I thought I was going to stump you on that.
Sorry. I've only
Okay.
seen the movie 46 times
It's true.
with our buddy Josh Gad, our new friend.
Yeah, Josh. Oh my gosh, I love it. I will never forget that moment. Okay, question number 2. Where are Carl and Russell trying to go on their adventure in Up?
Paradise Falls.
Oh my gosh.
Let's go.
All right. Well,
I almost said Paradise Valley, the John Mayer album,
Oh,
but
gosh.
of Montana.
Well, great job. You won again.
Thank you. Caleb wins again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just so used to it by now.
Okay.
Honestly, the feeling gets slow bored.
Okay, so next week it's going to be extremely difficult
I'm just
questions.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
Like, how much did Disney make in 1 year?
14 billion. All right, Caitlin, thanks for joining me for another round of Disney trivia.
Thank you so much for
Sorry
having
you
me.
lost, but I'm also happy I won.
Okay.
All right, you know what that cash register sound means. It's time to spend some money for
Shop
the Mouse with Market House. I forgot what it was called for a second. I had to look down and I was like, wait, what is this called? Shop the Mouse with Market House.
Okay.
With Miss Caitlin. Caitlin, what do we have?
I have a couple of extraordinary finds.
Wow.
Just kidding.
It's very theatrical.
Okay, so first up we have you know what? I'm a sucker for the basic tees. I love them.
Okay.
Okay. So
Thanks for letting us know.
You're welcome. The first one is a Mickey Mouse and Friends t-shirt for adults. It's a plain white tee, but the thing that really caught my eye is it's part of that new retro collection for the 100th anniversary. And all it says across it is Walt Disney, but it's his original signature, and it says Mickey Mouse. But what's really creative, it's Mickey Mouse almost leading like a parade of the old animation characters that they did.
Oh,
All
cool.
the cartoons.
Yeah.
I love it. So again, it's $29.99. It's pretty good pricing for their t-shirts. Normally they're like 30 something. So
Yeah.
again, it's plain white tee.
Plain white
Love
tee.
it.
You can't go wrong.
So next up is something I found at the parks, and I love it. It's for the kind of like the 2023 launch for the year, so the 2023 merchandise.
Okay.
It is labeled Mickey and Minnie Mouse zip hoodie for women. It is kind of like a sky blue color. Normally I don't go for zip ups, but there's something about this kind of sweatshirt that I just love.
Okay.
On the front, it has like Mickey and Minnie, and then it has like 2023 under it. And then on the back, it's a big like embroidered patch almost. And it has Mickey and Minnie. It has the castle on it. It has 2023. It's just super cute. Normally Disney does the screen printing, which is fine. But to see something embroidered on there, it looks like higher material or higher quality if you must. And the sweatshirt feels nice. It's catchy. I love it.
Cool. I love it.
This one's a little more expensive, $64.99.
Glee.
They're definitely making you pay for the embroidery, but it's
Yeah.
super cute.
You want some fancy? You got to pay for it.
Yes. And then last up is something that I actually tried grabbing at the parks. This item is not new, but it is no longer at the parks per our last trip.
Yeah. So we looked everywhere for this set of mini ears, and they were nowhere to be
And
found.
it's classic. They've been at the parks forever, and I'm like, I wanted that pair now, and then they're gone. So these are the Minnie Mouse sequin ears. They're purple with like the pink and white polka dot little bow on the front.
A lot of people were wearing them.
Love them. They're
Yeah.
so cute. I couldn't find them anywhere at Disneyland, anywhere at DCA. They are on Shop Disney, so I just wanted to let you know if you're like me and last minute want those ears, definitely hop on and grab them because I'm assuming Disney's like retiring them and getting rid of them.
Very cool.
Again, $34.99. Which I wanted to say about the headbands. Have they gotten more expensive? I thought they were like $29. Now they're $34.
I believe so. They raised the prices on those, and we were watching a Tim Tracker YouTube vlog thing, and
Yeah.
he was at the discount store that's in Orlando.
Yes,
like
which
the outlets.
I wish we had over here.
I think we do.
Oh.
We have one.
Oh, okay.
But we don't go to it. But they, anyways, they were selling mini ears for $4.
Yes.
And just know that they're still making some money on them to sell at $4. So just imagine how cheap they are and how much
Yes.
we pay.
Yeah, they had the Halloween ones and then the plaid Christmas ones from this past year.
It has to cost them cents.
Which they still have the plaid ones at Disneyland right now.
That
Remember
is
we were there? I
insane.
put them on. So again, if you want these ears, definitely check it out on Shop Disney. They might be getting rid of them for a long time. So hit them up. This episode of Market House is brought to you by Wishes & Co. Hey everyone, I just wanted to jump on here really quick to tell you about Wishes & Co. They have the perfect apparel and jewelry for your next trip to the parks or just around the house.
Shop Wishes & Co. for theme park inspired magical apparel and jewelry. Take 15% off your entire order for the month of February with code MarketHouse15. Go to wishesandco.com to see more and redeem your code today. All right, and that brings us to our main segment of this week's episode, and that is how to plan a trip to Walt Disney World. So we've talked about the East Coast parks all the time, and I don't think we've ever done an episode just to say, hey, this is how we do it, and share some maybe tips and tricks on how to plan a good trip over to Disney World.
Yeah.
Because it is a different beast.
Oh, yeah. You can't just go, I'm going to Disney World.
No.
Like, there's a lot of planning involved.
More planning involved. It's, again, for us West Coasters, it's a long haul to get over there, and it's not just a quick either hour flight or drive down to Disneyland. So yeah, a little more planning involved, and we wanted to help you out and see if we can just offer some tips for your next trip. Okay, so first, before we get into all those travel details, booking flights and all that good stuff, we have to talk about time of year. So our biggest tips are consider the weather, consider the school schedule for the kiddos if you want to take them while they're on break, but also consider it's going to be much busier at the parks during the break time, and it's going to cost you more because everyone and their mother wants to go when school's out.
Yep. So during the holidays, during summer, everything.
Yeah, summer break, spring break, even a
Way
long
more
weekend.
expensive.
Because you have to imagine, you're not just competing with people out of state, you're competing with the school systems that are in the Orlando area.
Right.
So if it's a long weekend, the local kids are going to be going to the parks.
Mm-hmm.
So consider that. Again, you can save some money going off peak times and stuff, but you're also taking the kids out of school. But you know what? It's a great time to do it.
Yeah.
I loved getting taken out of school.
Oh, it was such a great feeling.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, see ya, guys.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that assignment? I'm not
You're
going to
like,
be here.
I'm not going to be here on Monday.
Lame. You guys are lame for going. So, yeah, I get it with homework and stuff.
Oh, of course.
Everything's different. Everyone's different. But yes, it was fun. It didn't happen a lot, but it happened enough to where it was fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. November to March, in our opinion, has the best weather for that area. So, because for example, we went in April, and you may think like, oh, April, May is probably fine. It was like 90 degrees with 90% humidity over there. It was very warm in April. You just never know, because right now it's early February. It's 85 degrees already in Orlando.
It's crazy. So again, take this with a grain of salt with us saying, hey, November through March, you could go in January and it could be 90 degrees. You could go in November and it could be 85 degrees. So just the weather is all over the place, but historically that's been the best time to go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, based on
past years.
exactly. But you never know, because like you just never know. So I think you'll have the best luck avoiding, because October, it could be cool, but it's also hurricane season. So you could get stormed out.
Right.
So you just never know. So the safest times to go, I would argue, November through March. We've been in January, February, and April. We prefer the earlier the better in the year, just because it's cooler weather, but you're not melting.
Right. Exactly.
All right. So like most people, I mean, we have to at least. If you don't have to do this, congratulations. You're in an awesome spot. But we have to budget for this thing.
Yes.
It's an expensive trip. So you have to do some planning, plan ahead, and for a few months there, at least, you're putting some money away. So Caitlin and I use an app called Capital. There's some out there called, like, I think Acorns does the same thing. There's a few out there that does something similar. But basically, it's a set it and forget it saving app, basically.
Right.
So we can set a goal of like, hey, we need to save this much money in 8 months. And then I can calculate really quick how much per week we want to transfer to this little savings account. And you can set it up. And it's a set and forget. I don't have to worry about it. It transfers automatically. And I can see where we are. It'll send us little things like I'll get a push notification saying, hey, congratulations, you and Caitlin are 25% towards your Disney World goal.
Yeah, it's really fun.
It's really fun. So that makes it really easy to budget. Again, I'll include a link for Capital. It's just one of them. Again, you guys, there's plenty of options. I've just had really good luck with this app. And again, we can break it out. So you can have like 7 different goals going at the same time instead of throwing it all into one savings account, which can kind of get confusing.
Yeah.
So I'll include a referral code. I think it gets you like $20 or something like that if you sign up. So I'll include that there so you guys can get some free cash if you want to. Next up, let's get into the fun stuff. This is my favorite thing to do. I think planning the trip is actually more fun than the trip itself. No, I'll take that back. But it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. So, flights / kind of travel once you land. Let's talk about that. So, don't always assume Southwest is the cheapest option. Again, for us West Coast people, that's always the assumption. A lot of my friends and family, it's always like, oh, I'm just going to go with Southwest. And this is the crazy thing, that American Airlines is almost always cheaper for us coming out of Sacramento to Orlando. So again, it depends on where you're at. If you're on the East Coast, JetBlue is kind of the East Coast equivalent to Southwest, kind of a more budget-friendly airline. And again, they can be cheaper a lot of the times, but I would say half the time you can get a cheaper option with another airline. Search using Google Flights. They do a great job of all you have to do is put in your dates and your departure and arrival airport, and it will search every single airline except for a couple. It can't compare those, but most of them you can compare all different things. You can move your dates around to see if you can save some money.
Yeah, and I'll populate different pricing, and it's pretty awesome.
It is pretty awesome. So we use that all the time, and we kind of start there to kind of start building our trip up, just to make sure we're not going when they're like, flights are $17,000 this weekend, which happens. Again, a note, no more Magical Express. So it used to be when you landed at the beautiful Orlando airport, you take that, what's that thing called? The light rail? Not light rail, but
I always want to call it a people mover.
a tram thing.
Yeah, it's a tram.
So you take it from the terminal over to the main terminal thing. You get on those magical Disney buses. No longer, folks. It used to be included if you're staying on property. But no, they've decided to take that away. Mr. Bob Chapek, thank you for doing that. And now you have to pay. So there's something called Mears Connect, which is basically the same exact thing, just not so much Disney magic.
Right.
That is, let me pull up the pricing here. It's $32 round trip for adults and $27 round trip for adults. So not cheap.
No, it's not cheap at all.
What something again used to be nice and free is now a paid service for the same thing, which is super lame.
Especially when you are staying on property, it's interesting that
You're already paying a
still
premium.
having to pay. Yeah.
It's so.
But again, it is there. And again, you can always Uber. But again, as we discussed in our last episode,
That's getting
prices have
expensive.
gone up.
Very expensive. Or you can rent a car. Again, if you're just doing Disney World, I would not do this. You're just wasting, in our opinion, a lot of money.
Yeah, again, if you are going over there to do Disney World, you're doing Universal, if you're doing multiple things, then we can see how renting a car would be easier. But if you're distinctly going over there for Disney World, in our opinion, we don't recommend renting a car.
No, a lot of hassle and a lot of money for not using it a lot. Next up, you can try and visit Disney Springs. It's basically their version of downtown Disney, except it's gigantic. At least do this for an evening. We highly recommend doing this. We always try and fit it in the night we fly in. We try and fly out early morning, like around 6 or 7 o'clock from Sacramento, land there around dinner time. We drop everything off in the room, freshen up, and then head over to Disney Springs.
Yeah.
And Caitlin loves her food over at Disney Springs.
First of all, Disney Springs is one of my favorite places. So it's so magical the first time because you're there and you're like, we're on vacation.
I know.
And Disney World is such an experience because we don't get to go there a lot. But the food there is so good. There are so many places that we love going to. We love Chicken Guy. If you want a burger, go to Deluxe. They have the best cheeseburgers, the best ranch, and the best French fries.
Is it garlic ranch?
It's like a garlic ranch, and it's thick.
It's really good.
It's so good. I'm making my mouth water just thinking about it. There's a place that I really want to go to. What's it called? It's Wine Bar George.
Oh, yeah, we've heard a lot of good things.
We really want to try that place. And then there's so many others. And they have sprinkles there, and there's shopping. And it's a great
There's a
thing to go to.
Lululemon.
There's a ton of good things.
Caitlin loves stopping there. Uniqlo, yeah.
Uniqlo, they have good Disney stuff. So again, it's just a great option. It's a calm night where you just start your trip off. It's just super fun.
Yeah, again, and it's free, right? I mean, you don't have to really get anything if you don't want to. You can just walk around. It's definitely worth the couple of hours you can spend there. We almost want to dedicate a whole entire day to that next time.
Yeah.
Just kind of walking around, taking a chill pill, and enjoying the environment.
Yeah, and again, if you are staying on property, all of the resorts have buses that take you to Disney Springs. So no paying for that. That's free.
Exactly. Speaking of, let's talk about hotels and staying on property and all what that entails. Unlike Disneyland, we highly, highly recommend staying on property at Disney World. Let me tell you why. Like Caitlin said, transportation is a huge, big deal for the East Coast because of how giant Disney World is compared to Disneyland. I have a hard time recommending people to go yes, it is worth spending $700 a night to stay on property at Disneyland because there are hotels that are closer than the Disneyland hotel for half that price.
Right.
So I have a really hard time recommending, but for Disney World, they've got so many different pricing options, budget options for hotels that I would say it's totally worth paying. Of course, it's a premium for any of them, but when you experience it, you're like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
Totally
get
convenience.
Convenience.
So you got transportation built in, like Caitlin said. So some hotels have buses to Magic Kingdom. Not only that, but they have boats to Magic Kingdom. There's the Skyliner. Some have access to the Skyliner, that new cool not floating, but what are they called? Gondolas.
Yeah,
they're gondolas that go over it. They're awesome. They're very cool to use. And then you get it's an extra Disney magic. You're in a true Disney bubble. You don't see the real world the entire time you're there.
No, and again, for some that are well, that's okay. I don't need to be in the bubble. It's nice to be in the bubble because
it's really
that's
nice.
One thing that kind of is a bummer about Disneyland is on Harbor, it's so just congested and
jarring.
Yeah, you just leave that little happy Disney happiness if you must. And at Disney World, it's you are in Disney fairy tale land the entire time. So it's something to look forward to.
For sure. So let's go over the different resort categories so we can kind of compare and contrast what you're paying for.
Yes, because there's just so many different options. And it's good to be informed because our first trip there, we had no idea.
None.
We researched
No idea.
long to get everything situated. So you have some good pointers.
All right. So first up, I just want to do some just disclaimers. All the pricing that I'm going to talk about is based on a random Monday through Friday in May.
Okay.
So what is that? 3 months out? Mm-hmm. And standard rate. So I'm not including any kind of sale rate, some promo rate, just because you're not going to get that at all times of the year. And I just want to treat it fairly.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. So value resorts. These are motel-style resorts. Some examples are the All-Star resorts. They've got All-Star Sports, All-Star Music. They've got, what else do they have?
Pop Century.
Pop Century. We've stayed there.
Art of Animation.
Art of Animation, exactly. So there's a lot. We can't go over all of them. I think they have over like 20-something hotels at Disney
wow.
World. It's crazy. So these range from $150 to $240 per night. Art of Animation is going to be the most expensive by far. Both Art of Animation and Pop Century have access to the Skyliner.
Which is it's a plus.
Yes, you're going to pay extra for that. So I think Pop Century, if I'm not mistaken, was around $200 per night. And again, you're paying that premium because you have access to that Skyliner. And I think the inside is a little nicer, maybe?
Yeah, the rooms are a little bit more updated. They're more modern. And let me tell you, the food court, they haven't updated any of that, but they have some of the best food at that food court.
The Pop Century one.
Yes, so good.
You love it.
Love it.
Yes. Moderate resorts. So these are, again, this is a mix. Some are motel style, so you enter from the outside, and some are hotel style. So you've got interior hallways, and again, a little elevated experience. Again, you're going to experience a little nicer rooms and facilities depending on what resort you choose. Grand Destino Tower is our personal favorite. This is considered moderate, and it is very nice.
Which is over at the Coronado Springs Resort.
Correct. Thank you. These range from $260 per night to $470 per night. So this is where you can kind of start getting pricey,
right?
Depending on where you choose to stay. Grand Destino Tower, again, you're going to pay a little extra for that building, but I think it's worth it.
I highly recommend. It is beautiful.
Very nice
and
inside.
one of our favorite restaurants is there, Three Bridges.
Yes.
We love that place. It's so good.
Very good. I've also heard great things about Port Orleans Riverside and French Quarter. You've got, Caribbean Beach. There's a ton of...
There's so many.
Ton of moderate resorts. And then finally, the last one are your deluxe resorts. These are the fancy ones. But let me tell you, some rooms aren't, in my opinion, worth the price. So let me tell you what these range from $500 to $800 per night.
So we're talking that's the California, what's called it? The California Adventure.
The California Grand.
It's like the Grand Californian.
It is. And this is, again,
people.
let me remind you, this is a random week in May. This is not June, July, August pricing. This isn't December, Christmas pricing. Could probably range up to over $1,000 a night.
Oh, for sure.
So again, these are very expensive. Let me tell you, we would not recommend these or consider these if you're not going to spend a ton of time there. If you're going to wake up, go to the parks, come back late, and go to sleep, I don't know if it's worth spending $700 a night unless you just have the money and you want to spend it. Good for you.
Right.
Totally do your thing. But again, for most of us that are on a budget, I don't know if I can justify the cost staying here every single time, if that makes sense.
No, yeah.
But you can also, there's a little hack here, you can use DVC points. So you may go, I am not a DVC member. We aren't either. But you can rent them. So if there are DVC owners that are like, hey, we're not going to use these points, we'd rather make some money off these, they can essentially rent them to you. And you can stay there for a lot cheaper than it would be rack rate. So you can use services like DVC Rental Store, David's Vacation Club, or Disboards. So we've used Disboards in the past. That's basically just a forum where DVC owners go on and say, hey, I've got 300 points to, let's say the Animal Kingdom Lodge, and they're good for these dates, $17 a point, first come, first serve. And that's pretty much what happened. I responded to the post and said, we're interested. My wife and I were going to stay there for a few nights, blah, blah, blah. He spit out how many points that requires. I sent him money on PayPal, I think.
Yeah.
And he booked it for us, and it was done.
Yeah. That's
so
awesome.
We saved, I think we only spent in the mid 200s per night, where they usually charge $400 and something a night.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
It's like a 50% discount.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't recommend this, though, if you need some flexibility. Again, most of the services you'll use don't allow you to cancel. So
Right.
You're kind of stuck. If you're out, let's say you spend $2,000 on these DVC points, you're out $2,000 if this trip doesn't happen.
Yeah, and you have to pay up front. So there's no waiting 6 months.
Exactly, like
to
a normal
pay.
hotel where you're like, I'll book it and I'll pay when I get there. Doesn't work that way with these.
And I did want to mention for just some of the examples of the deluxe resorts, those include the Grand Floridian.
Thank you, yes.
The Contemporary. One of our favorites that we've stayed at was Animal Kingdom Lodge. Highly recommend that one.
Yeah, Savannah View room was
beautiful.
Life-changing.
Yes, it was so amazing. Again, they all have great food options, super close to the parks.
Polynesian, we've heard good things about that.
Yes, the Polynesian. We've never stayed there. We actually haven't even walked over there.
No.
But yeah, there's a ton of options. So.
Tons of options. So there's a couple perks that come with staying, a couple more perks that we haven't mentioned about staying on property. You'll get 30-minute early entry into the parks. It used to be an hour, but they've shortened that to 30 minutes. And I think the park rotates. So sometimes it's Magic Kingdom, sometimes it's Hollywood Studios, what have you. And you also have the ability to use your Magic Band for payments.
Right.
This is kind of like an under-talked about, I believe, perk. It is amazing just to be able to walk up to something and go beep with your Magic Band.
I love it.
And you're done. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like paying with your Apple Watch, but it all just goes to one account. And I as the guy that takes care of all this stuff, I feel better at the end of the trip. I can just look at one statement and it shows everything we've charged.
Right.
So not only the room, but the food we bought, the merch we bought. It's all on one printout that they give you at the end.
Yeah, that's pretty helpful.
It is helpful. So next up, you're like, hey, I need access to the parks. I don't have an annual pass. I need some Walt Disney World tickets. Let's talk about getting those. So our opinion for Disney World, which would be different for Disneyland, but single park tickets I think are fine for Disney World for most people. A lot of work and time to park hop at the parks because of how big it is. It's huge.
So it's not like Disneyland where you can just walk across the Esplanade. It usually takes anywhere from like 30 minutes to an hour to get around the parks because you can't take the monorail everywhere. Sometimes you have to take a bus. And You have to wait for that bus. There's multiple stops on that bus. So a lot of time in between has to be almost like scheduled ahead of time in order to make another trip, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's like you have to do a lot of planning.
Right.
And make sure you're going to be somewhere on time. So again, it's not like a total headache, but it's definitely something to consider. If you've got a large party, if you've got a family and you're like, I don't want to, pull the family around to different, I mean, you're navigating the city straight up.
Yeah.
So imagine like
huge.
hopping in the bus and it's a 20-minute bus ride and then you got to get back, you go through security again, you got to go in the park. It's an ordeal.
Right.
So I say a lot to say if it's your first time or you don't go a lot, I think save the money and do single park tickets.
We love doing single park tickets.
Yeah, we've done both. We've done, last time we did Park Hopper, the first time we went, we did single park, and I wouldn't mind doing single park next time.
Yeah, because I really feel like it gives you the opportunity to really slow down and kind of just enjoy the park. Because again, like, for example, I know some people are probably saying, well, hey, Animal Kingdom isn't a full day. Like, that can be done in a half a day.
Sure.
And you're totally right. And for that instance, we would go for, let's say, 75% of the day. And then we would go back to the resort. We would hang out, maybe pool time. You can go back to Disney Springs.
Sure.
So it's not like you have to stay there all day, but it's just nice knowing that, hey, I'm going to do what we're going to do here, and we're just going to relax.
And then we're
There's
done.
no rushing.
For sure.
So
and
it is nice.
Our personalities, we like to fill it up. So if we were finished with Animal Kingdom by, let's say, 2:00, knowing us, I'd be like looking at you going, well, let's head over to Magic Kingdom and do X, Y, Z. And then we're there till 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which there's nothing wrong with that.
Totally.
But if you really want to slow down, it's a great opportunity.
Yes, I love the way you think. Again, another way to save money. I'm not trying to be whatever and be like, but use Getaway Today. You can save some cash. And we've bought tickets from them. We've also used another service. They all work great.
Yeah.
But you can, again, you save money and they're legit. That's the one thing. I've heard, like, even family members were like, we're going to buy tickets from Dave's
something random.
ticket, WaltDisneyWorld.com. I'm like, please don't do that.
Yeah.
So people can get janky out there. You can totally get scammed out of your money. Getaway Today, and there's a few other services out there. Use them. Again, use that link. You'll save money on your tickets. And you also do a package there. You could do hotel, tickets, all that good stuff.
Yeah, and it's a good opportunity. Just, check out the link. Like, go on there and just see for yourself. There's so many different things that you can do. It's not just
really
Disney.
quick.
Yeah.
Really quick, actually.
Yeah.
Perfect example. So Caitlin and I are looking at hotels for our, is it summer? I don't know if it's end of
Like
spring,
pre-summer,
early
yeah.
summer trip for Disneyland. And I was looking at some hotels and I was like, I'm just going to look at Getaway Today since we signed up for this new thing. And let me just go on there and look. They can save us. They were going to save us $200 on our hotel stay.
Yes,
I'm not
I
kidding.
was blown away. And again, we're not just like just
I'm not
saying
trying to plug
that.
it. Yeah.
Like, we're serious. Like, for people who travel there frequently, like, the savings was incredible. So that's why I'm telling you guys, like, I highly recommend, like, use the link.
Just try it.
Just go look
Yeah.
on there. And I'm telling you, you're going to be amazed by what you find.
Yeah.
So
Cheapy cheap. Okay, cool. And food. Let's talk food. So no more dining plan. There was this coveted program called the dining plan that people all swore by. We never used it. But it was basically this thing where you paid up front. Let's say it's $1,500 for your family, but your food is covered for your trip. You don't have to worry about it when you land. So that included like 2 counter service credits a day, plus a table service credit and 1 snack credit, something like that. And I think it was based on, there was, basic one, middle, and then a high tier, right? You can eat table service every night if you want.
right.
But they took that away. People are very upset about it. They've got something similar coming out. it's not a program, but it's a dining card promotion.
Okay.
So if you book on site, you can get a dining card credit basically, and you can use that on stuff. It's kind of weird. It's a decent deal, but the curveball is that it has to be a rack rate room, so you're paying full price for the hotel. So you're basically getting a hotel discount.
Yeah.
It's just how they worded it. I get it. It's totally convenient for some people, but it's not like stop whatever you're doing and go book it right now.
Right, exactly.
kind of deal. Disney World has amazing food though. Amazing food options.
I'm my mouth's watering. I have to say it. I've already said before that at Magic Kingdom, Skipper's Canteen is like my favorite restaurant.
Very good.
It's so good. The ambiance is amazing. It's all themed to like Jungle Cruise and has like the storyline. All the servers are acting like the skippers do on Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, kind of cheesy jokes.
Yeah,
and stuff.
it's amazing.
It's a very good restaurant. What's another recommendation we have? We wanted to go eat at the pizza place. What's the place in Epcot that everyone talks about? It has Italian food.
Oh.
Via Napoli?
I think so.
Is that what it's
Yes, but
called?
they didn't have gluten-free
Yeah,
pizza.
so I've heard nothing but great things about this place, amazing pizza and stuff, and I just assumed, okay, Disney World, they're going to have stuff for me. They didn't.
No, they only had, I think, gluten-free pasta.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
But I think they're known for their pizza. But this is the thing that you have to remember about Epcot. Most of those restaurants there are owned by third-party
Which is
companies.
crazy to me.
Yeah. Darden, the people that own like Red Lobster and stuff, own a few restaurants in Disney World. Yeah.
Which is crazy. I'm trying to think of what else you wanted to do. Oh, at Hollywood Studios, we wanted to go. Is it the Brown Derby?
Brown Derby, yeah.
Yeah, we really wanted to go there. But again, there's just countless different places.
There really
and
are.
the food's great.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty good. Again, and do some research beforehand. They show all the prices on their website. So go on Disney World's website, go through some of the menu options, look at some recommendations from people, and kind of you can build your budget like that. That's how we do it.
yeah.
I want to get a good sense of how many sit-down meals are we going to have, because that is more expensive than a counter service meal, right? And so I'll go, okay, we're eating sit down, let's say 3 times, and then I budget for that accordingly.
Right.
So yeah, that's a good resource to use. And then finally, kind of our big tip here is don't go into it expecting Disneyland. That's a huge reminder that I have to remind myself about, is that it's definitely not a West Coast experience. Again, just the size alone, you have to remember Disneyland is 500 acres. Walt Disney World is 43 square miles.
That is crazy.
It's like the size of San Francisco.
It's
It's a huge difference.
Wow.
So transportation and time to get around, factor that in your plans. It's not a Disneyland thing where you go, oh, we'll leave DCA 30 minutes before our reservation at Blue Bayou. That is not happening. If you want to make a reservation in Animal Kingdom, and you're in Magic Kingdom, you have to. It's an hour,
It's a
hour and a
whole
half
process.
experience.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. The parks are not jam-packed full of rides like Disneyland.
Yeah.
So that's one thing we noticed. We'd be done with all like the e-ticket attractions by like noon.
Which is crazy.
It's insane.
Whereas in like Disneyland, they're like, there's an attraction here, there's one here, there's one next to this one.
This is a crazy fact. Disneyland Resort in Anaheim has more attractions in those 2 parks than Disney World does in all 4.
Well, it makes sense though, because they just have to put them right next to each other. 'cause of
Crazy?
space.
Yes.
Yeah.
So again, they have a ton. Don't get me wrong. It's not like you're going to run out of things to do. But again, just keep in mind that you're not going to be like, oh, I'm going to hit 27 rides at Magic Kingdom. They just don't have as many as we do over here. Food quality, I've heard, is slightly worse in Disney World than Disneyland. I don't think it's bad, but I think there's going to be more hit and misses maybe on the East Coast. Like we had a burger. Remember that?
Yeah, the electric umbrella.
Not good.
In Magic Kingdom.
That was
yeah,
really
so I
gross.
think I would sum it up because again, I just was mentioning earlier how much I like the food at Disney World. I think the sit down food options are better. The quick service food options we haven't had good luck with. They're not very good. So again, whereas in Disneyland, where usually every meal you have is pretty like delicious.
Yeah.
In Disney World, it's maybe one restaurant per park
Sure.
or land is
Yeah.
good. Again, it all depends on
Per land,
what you
yeah.
all depends on what you like, but for us and our experiences, that's what we've noticed. Like the Skipper's Canteen, sit down, amazing food. Electric Umbrella, not very good at all. So it's kind of just like it's hit and miss.
Sure.
It's more hit and miss in Disney World.
Yeah,
So
I think that's fair. And then except for, I'm going to make an exception here, the
Ooh.
Pineapple Vanilla Swirl
oh my gosh.
in Magic Kingdom is, I'm telling you, that is the best Dole Whip I've ever had in my life.
I don't know why Disneyland doesn't bring over the vanilla.
We need to start a
you guys,
petition.
It's life changing. It's so good. The vanilla, it like cuts the tart. Like, oh my gosh, it's so good.
Very, very good.
It's
Try
worth
it.
the
If you're
trip.
going to Disney World, please try that and let us know how you like it.
It's so good.
And then finally, again, it's Florida. Weather is so unpredictable. Just kind of go with the flow. Caitlin and I got rained out last trip. Again, initial reaction of Caleb was, I'm grumpy. I don't like this. I paid a lot of money to be here. I want to enjoy the park. Caitlin was laughing and kicking through puddles and stuff. And I was like, okay, I should lighten up a little bit. So I think there's lessons to be learned. Have fun. We made it fun. Mm-hmm. She turned my mood around.
Yeah.
And we made it a fun deal. So again, it could be 90 degrees with 90% humidity one day and beautiful the next day. It is super weird. Disneyland is almost always pretty warm, but at least you kind of know going in, it's probably going to be warm during my trip.
Yeah, just again, like we do, look at the weather ahead of time. Again, it can change dramatically.
And it will change.
Like it did for us. But again, if it starts downpouring on you, at the end of the day, just go, what are we going to do about it? We're at the park. So just make it fun, laugh, get wet, and go back to the hotel later and change.
Exactly.
So just have fun with it.
So yeah, if you're planning a trip to the Disney World Resort, let us know. We'd totally love to hear. If you have any questions, let us know.
Yeah.
I think we should eventually we'll do like a park strategy. So like, okay, now that we're there, what do we do from...
Oh, I would love that.
Right?
Yes, because we get so many questions about like, hey, what do you guys do when you're here?
Exactly.
So again, yeah, like Caleb mentioned, let us know if you're going. Let us know when you're going, where you're staying. Like, we're so excited.
All right. Thank you so much for listening and joining us this week for a very fun episode.
Yeah, we had a great time.
You can find us over on Instagram at Market House Podcast and Twitter at Market House Pod. Make sure to follow us over there for all of our fun announcements and stuff from the parks. We're going to be there in a few weeks to experience food and wine.
I'm so excited.
Going to be very fun. So follow along over on there. Also, consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Huge help to the show. And again, we appreciate all the kind words. Make sure to use the capital link in the episode description. We talked about that before for budgeting. If you click on that, I think you get a little bit of money if you sign up for that service. And also use our Getaway Today link. Save some money on your next vacation with Getaway Today. And it also supports the show.
Yeah, and last but not least, also remember to use the Wishes & Co. link below. It'll save you 15% off your purchase for the entire month of February. Again, go use that little code that we have. It's Market House 15. Save yourself some money, get yourself some cute Disney merch, and let us know what you get. I had a couple people reach out already. I'd love to see what you're getting.
Yeah,
so
send us something.
Send us a picture or DM us on Instagram. I'd love to hear it.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Have a good one.
Bye.